A 40-year-old man wanted in a store robbery was arrested when he decided to take a police officer exam. The problem I have with this is that if you're going to be a criminal, be a criminal. If you want to protect people from crime, protect people from crime. Don't do both. That makes you a hypocrite.
His name is J.G.
Ohayou gozaimasu. That means good morning in Japanese. So the American people aren't at for a lack of superhero movies, but we are at a lack for TV shows. Unfortunately, some shows aren't really that good, and most of the comic book TV shows are pretty bad. Why do I want to talk about Heroes? Because Heroes absolutely sucks. It blows chunks. Because every single compelling character that they had on the show, they made uncompelling by making them cliche and stupid. The only compelling character left on the show was Sylar, and he's a serial killer. Who'd think that I would love to see a serial killer do his thing on a TV show? Because he is sort of kind of in a really sick, twisted way endearing. Because he is really curious as to why he's so fucked up and why he wants to kill people and why he has this power. Why he wants to see how things tick. Every other character, Peter Petrelli, the main protagonist from the first season and the second season, well, he's an idiot. He's been an idiot. He's always confused about why he's got all these powers and then why the world's against him and why the world's against everyone else. And he's like the most powerful person in the entire show because he can get powers from being around people. Matt Parkman, for all of his mind control and mind reading powers, he still hasn't fully utilized that. It's like no one's even trying to test how far they can go. A compelling character that came on recently but's dead now is Peter Petrelli's father, who was a dick, but he was powerful and he got killed off, and unfortunately he was like the only really good bad guy in the entire show. And now it's Peter's brother that's the really big bad guy, and he's climbing up the political ladder, and you got some weird henchman under him who doesn't trust anybody, and he's obsessive about getting and capturing superheroes. Okay, I'm going to stop about heroes because I could talk on forever. And I'm going to be ashamed at myself to actually say this because I'm really disappointed with Heroes, but Smallville's a better hero show. I'm not saying that there's a lot of character development in the show, but there's a lot less people in the show, and you can focus your interest on them, and it's easier to follow them because, you know, no matter how cliche they are, that's who they've been for such a long time. It's in their character. And the budget's not as good, the marketing's not as good, but it still has its fan base. And if any show is going to go off the air before the other one, I think that Heroes is going to go off the air. They're pumping too much money into too many people to be on a show where people are really stupid. But then again, who knows? Maybe that'll stay on for a really long time. I hope it does. I hope it gets better. But I wish that someone could write a decent script for them, or at least someone can approve a decent script for them. Because here is just downhill. Another thing I want to talk about is America's Best Dance Crew versus American Idol. America's Best Dance Crew is so much better than American Idol, and why is this? Because America's Best Dance Crew consists of people in groups working together to win. American Idol, aside from the parts where they're doing this whole show to put on for the American audience, and the world's audience that is actually watching the show, they sing solo. They work with the music, and them alone, to put the piece together. These guys, they go into the show from the get-go, working together to put on a good show for people. There's a completely different study about these two groups. One's a community, one's an individual, and American Idol, idol worship. This one right here, it worships teamwork. It's the difference between both shows. I just watched the past 7 episodes of America's Best Dance Crew, and honestly, I am brought to almost tears with that show. American Idol doesn't even touch that. But American Idol does have a lot more people watching it, and it has a lot more money going into it, and a lot more money going out of it. It disturbs me that idol worship is better than crew worship, which I think crew worship is much more important, especially in the world, because teamwork is what makes everything tick, especially here on YouTube. So, a friend of mine sent me a video, and it's not his video, it's somebody else's video titled, "Fuck Our Troops." And I have huge issues with this because troops, much like people, do not have total control over the things they do. They're guided by society, they're guided by the businesses, the corporations that they work for. Soldiers, for the most part, don't want to go someplace where they could possibly die, get shot, or blown up. The very ones that are inclined to action and adventure and violence, okay, those are. But you cannot siphon out those that really want to kill and shoot and those that don't want to. Soldiers are here to protect the peace. It's like a cop, saying he really wants to shoot someone. Now, some of them may, but I'm sure most of them don't, because that is taking away someone's life, and potentially losing their own. And the things that this guy says bothers me a lot because, for one, he's saying this without conviction. He's playing with his fingers, he's tugging on his little trousers, shorts, whatever they are. He's not looking straight into the eyes of the American people or his viewers and telling them to fuck our troops. He's saying it behind our backs. He's saying it with his naked chest. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I would call this guy a coward. If someone says, fuck our troops, and says it to my face, I have more respect for that guy than this guy. I'm not saying the guy would make any sense, because I don't believe anything he'd say if he said fuck our troops and gave me any reason why not to. No. It's retarded. It's retarded. These guys, they go out and sacrifice life and limb for us, even if it's in their job, and if they had a choice between sacrificing life and limb for us and they say no, the fact is that they're out there by default, and they require our support, because without our support, we'd be experiencing Vietnam. And if any of you were alive then, or if any of you have even studied at that time, the American people were absolutely demoralized. I'm not saying they didn't get hopped up in their own drugs, but they were demoralized by government action. Everything was against the government. The government sacrificing our people over there, but then instead of turning on the government, they turn on to the people that were pawns of the government. I'm not saying that every pawn isn't important, but you do not hate the troops. You hate the choices of the people that steer those troops. That's all I have to say about that. And I guess the only good news about this is that I support the government, I support the soldiers, I support the troops, and I think everyone out there should also, whether or not they do not have any appreciation for war at all. War is caused by bodies and communities and governments and countries, not by I or you.